This is Find Your Flow, a show about navigating the complexities of life and business through the lens of curiosity. I'm your host, Angelique, and I bring together experts to deliver responsibly curated conversations and perspectives that aim to progress people and the planet. So many of us know that self-expression can prove to be one of the greatest joys in our lives. It can help you better connect with yourself, with others, and even the world. So be it through art, music, athletics, movement, or even a combination of all the above. Doing what we love allows us to make a positive impact on the world and maximize our own personal sense of well-being. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. So the topic for today's conversation is, what does it mean to drain the well of artistic expression? So we're going to be exploring self-expression and deep embodiment through movement and energy work. And today's guest is a thought leader in self-expression. She is a self-made movement artist, a content creator who owns a unique music video styled installation brand called Embodied Music Videos, which we'll hear more about shortly. And Caren's passion lies in leading others to express. So whether that be through leading movement, speaking, energy work, or even just leading by example, self-expression and owning exactly what you want to try and who you want to be in the world are all so true to Caren's core. So we're going to dive in, and I'm so excited to hear more about your story and all of the exciting work that you've been doing. So I've been following you on Instagram for some time, and I love you're dancing in grocery stores, you're dancing at the mall, you're dancing on the street. Like, it is such a joy even just to experience the content that you've been creating. And so I can only imagine the joy that you bring others. So welcome, Caren. I'm so very excited to have you today. Tell us more about how you got started and what brought you to literally this movement.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Well, I'm Joy. That's all. Goodbye. I'm just joking. It's funny that you said that, though, because the other day in Cameron Village, an area here in Raleigh, they play music outside in little speakers. And I heard Britney Spears playing in a speaker. And I was like, oh, that is my song. So I asked some girl to film me. That's kind of how it goes. I usually just ask someone random, no, can you film me?
Yeah.
And I don't even think about how, that's probably not, a common question a lot of people get. But so it's fun. But anyway, she filmed me and I was just dancing. And then these girls over to the right were like, woo, what a beautiful day. So I got them in. Yeah. And then I was like, shake your butt. So now they're in the video. And that's happened a couple times when I've been filming. And it's so true. Like, dance just, and I'll get back to the question, but dance is one way of expression that literally brings out our childlike fun, and you don't even have to be a dancer, like anything, just bopping your head.
Move, get silly, be vulnerable. Yeah.
It just brings smile and joy. When you see someone dancing around on the corner waiting for the red light to turn green when they're on a run or something, that's like, it's so joyful. Okay, what was the question? Who am I?
Well, I think that embodies a lot of what that question came to be. But yeah, I mean, so Embodied Music Videos and how you started dancing and, how did this become your life's work, I guess?
Oh, man. Okay, so my life's work, it's all right. For years and years and years, really ever since I was in college, that's when I kind of started tapping into more of the spiritual stuff. I had a life coach, which wasn't super popular at that point. Like, that's what really got me into the path that I'm in now. But for so long, I have loved, this is kind of the foundation of it, I've loved helping women specifically connect with each other, connect with themselves, but also connect to the fact that we are all human and just connecting to our authenticity. And that used to be me speaking to sororities about disordered eating and, just connecting us all with our not perfection and remembering literally it's perfect. So it kind of began that, but I've always loved expression. I mean, I've always been a psychotic person. Like, you can ask my family. Like, I'm crazy. I'm
That's why we
psychotic.
love you. Yeah.
Thank you. Mwah. And it's just, so it's always been kind of my path. And I've loved, I love performing. I've always loved that. But the dance, I'm kind of hopping around here, but the dance, I think this is an important fact for everyone to know. I have always loved dancing, ever since I was young. I took dance classes as a little girl, which many of us do, and I did gymnastics for a long time. But I was never a trained dancer, like not on the Palms team. I didn't do cheer in high school. I loved cheerleading, but I wasn't doing the teams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Never did like competitive dance. Like, I just was never really trained in dance. No one knew me as a dancer at all.
Okay.
At all. Like, my friends, no one. Like, even me, if I think back to me in high school, I wouldn't have called myself a dancer at all. But I've always loved dancing. And it's funny, two things here. One, like, it's just funny how we can think back to the little signs that we see as young children and how they
Mm-hmm.
show up in our worlds today. So in fourth grade, it's interesting. Yeah. If everyone thinks about that, like, there's an essence of something that you loved or did when you were
Mm-hmm.
young. There's all these little hints. So when I was in fourth grade, I was in a talent show with my friend at the time, and we were just picking out a dance. We did Michelle Branch, Everywhere.
Oh,
Because
Michelle
you're
Branch.
everywhere to that song. So she came over, and I vividly remember this. Like, she came over, we were in my basement, and I was like, all right, let me show you a dance. And she sat there. I can still see the whole scene. She sat there. I just started dancing like I do now, like moving and not even knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then after it was over, she was like, that was amazing. What did you do? And I was like, I don't know what I did. And that's like one of the first. And then, when I did my yoga teacher training, I was like 24. I wrote down, we had to write the things that we come back to when we don't feel like ourselves. And I wrote dance. And it's just so funny. So,
Mm.
it's crazy. Like, it's always shown up.
Yeah.
And now it's my world. It's my life. I'm, full blown dancer. Like, it's my world. And I say all of this because about like 6 years ago, I started randomly dancing more and more in the studio that I taught yoga at. And I would begin filming it, and then I would post it. Like, it was just mesmerizing movements to me. And I wasn't doing it for anyone else, but people started, being inspired by the movements.
Mm-hmm.
Even dancers I know from high school have reached out to me and said, you've inspired me to dance again. I've had
I love that.
so many. I mean, like, I get gorgeous messages now about, like, I was feeling really stressed, and then I thought about you in my head dancing, and I just started moving my body. And I mean, it's
It's hard not to find joy in the videos that you
oh,
create too. I mean, there's one where you're in the grocery store, and kind of like you mentioned, where you found somebody at Village District, and you gave them your phone, and you're like, videotape me, I'm gonna dance. And then this
Mhm.
girl like is in it with you, and you're picking up flowers, and like you just see
Yeah.
that the joy of that reverberates. And I love what you mentioned about, going back to some of those things that we did as a child that kind of just bring us back to that innocence, that theta, that space
Mhm.
within who we were. Because I relate to that so much. I mean, I was
Mm.
always doing art as a child, and now if I don't have my art is my therapy, art is my self-expression,
Mm.
it is a non-negotiable. It is extremely
Mm.
important to who I am. And just as it sounds like dance has been and is for you now, and that's a gift that you're sharing with others.
Yeah. Yeah. I could tell that lit you up in some way when I said that about the coming back. I mean, it's really beautiful. Like,
It is.
and I think that's what it comes down to with the topic of self-expression.
Mhm.
I was just talking to someone about this today, actually. When we're children, I said to her, I'd love to think back and like embody the different ages of me as a child and see where I started becoming less childlike, because we become less childlike and then we become more childlike. It's like as we get older. And
Oh, yeah.
I think losing that sense of, and we're human, right? Like there's statuses, and especially now with social media,
Life,
like blah, blah,
jobs.
blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all these things. But really, I think the thing that we forget is that when we're children, we're nothing. We're essence. We are essence. We are us. We're essence.
Mhm.
And I like, if there's one thing I can share with the audience today, it's, do you know your essence? Do you know what your essence is? Because your essence is not who you are, what you do in this world. Your
Mhm.
essence is you. So I'll take people through exercises sometimes, and I have this myself where I'll say, close your eyes and think about, the things that just feel like you. If I started listing them out right now, I'd say water, ocean, pink, flower,
Mhm.
musicals, dance. Like, what are those elements that build to be you? And as you say those things, you'll feel you. You'll feel you. And everyone's going to be different. Like, someone might be red, a chair, a tree, like,
They're
but just
random, yeah.
random, but they feel like you for some reason. And that's what our essence is. It's who we are. So we shift and we evolve and we change. But as long as we can stick to knowing who our essence is,
Mhm.
who we are, our soul, our heart, not our body, but our soul, our essence, then we can continue to evolve and allow ourselves to be ourselves and stay detached from those titles and those things,
Which
and I,
is so hard in today's world. And, as I'm thinking about, the exercise that you mentioned, there's the simplicity of detaching from this material world and going
Mhm.
inward and just thinking about yourself in those ways. Because even as you were describing it, and I saw you saying those words, like it just felt as though it flowed. It was easy. But then giving ourselves the gift of that moment to
Mhm.
consider, make those
Mm.
considerations, have those thoughts. I don't know that I hope that more people are doing that. I hope that more people are
Mm.
giving themselves that time to feel that.
I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not. They don't realize it's an option because they think they
We're on
know who they
autopilot.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, like, with our like, we can say, "Okay, I love dancing, but I am not dance." If dance was stripped away from me, I mean, knock on wood, but I'd have to figure out, who am I? And I think a lot of people
Mm.
think, "Oh, I know who I am," but they're not always noticing, and that's okay because we don't have a lot of opportunity to realize this is a thing. But who are you? Who are you? And that a lot of times comes down to our child, like us, like the freedom
Yeah.
of just being in the flow, almost like when you're traveling or when you're on a group adventure of some sort, and you're not even like, you're just flowing, you're not even thinking, you're being silly.
You're flowing.
Mhm.
That's a great. I mean, I just got back from Europe a week or so ago, and people were like, "How was the trip?" And I was like, "It just flowed so well."
Mm.
Every day it was just like, "Where are we gonna go? What direction do we want to walk
Yeah,
down this street?" I'm like, "This way is calling me. Left is calling me.
love that.
This restaurant is called like." I think we do tend to get out of that flow, and I think it's hard for us to go back to those childhood spaces, and for good or for bad too. I know that there's a lot of things that our childhood can bring up for maybe not so
Mm.
great reasons, but I think there's always that innocence that we can go back to, and the playfulness. I read a book recently, The Power of Play, and
Mm.
Dr. Stuart Brown. I think Dr. Stuart something. But
I thought you were
such
gonna
a
say Dr.
fascinating.
Seuss.
Yes, I mean, you could see that too. But there's so much psychology that goes into how we could be better at our jobs, better
Mm.
leaders, better parents, better people if we gave ourselves an opportunity to play, because of what it
Mm.
does from a foundational level to our brain and how we function. And these different things, stress manifests in our bodies. It's a
Mhm.
book that I'm reading right now is uh, the body keeps score.
Mhm.
And you think
It's a good book.
about how the power of play and the power of movement, the power of expression can literally go in and start to release some of these things that we've built up.
Mhm.
And, I'm always curious because I think about, that person behind the camera that was filming you in Village District. What was
Mhm.
their face? What were they thinking? Because part of me is like, they wanted to join in. It brought joy to them in some way.
Yeah, I think that I mean it's always fun because like I'll ask like the most like man like and it's hilarious just to see them like
And
be
you're
like
brave enough to do that. That's what I love.
shaking my butt,
Yeah.
And hey, like that's something that um it's I think talking about the draining the well of expression, okay? That doesn't just come from overnight. Like me dancing in public and really dancing, like really
Oh,
trying
yeah.
and not trying, but like doing my real movements, not like, but really dancing, expressing was something that was so, I wasn't able to completely fully do that years and years
Mhm.
ago. But that came with me. Like, I remember I did an audition for a music video, which I was like, these were all like crazy hip hop dancers. And I was just this like, all right, like I just was starting to get into dance. And it was so mortifying because we all had to go in the middle of a circle of huge crowd of people and dance. And like draining the well of expression is tapping into those things and like tapping, tapping, tapping. So I talk about it as like carving. So picture like trying to make a tunnel, and then you tap in a little bit, you do something a little embarrassing, and then it kind of like
Mm.
negates itself. So you keep going into those levels of embarrassment where it doesn't feel embarrassing anymore. It just feels normal. So you're really like draining that well. And you know,
Yeah.
that's where it's come from. Like,
You're breaking free of some of those constraints. You're opening up new pathways. It's confidence too. A
absolutely. And I
lot
think
of confidence.
and I think dance has a big part of that. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been lately doing a lot more just like crumping dance and getting into more heels
Crumping.
classes. Just I made that up, but
Oh,
like
okay.
crumping, like boom, boom.
No, I don't know. I
Yeah,
you're
what
It's
movie
funny
was it
because like
in? Bring it
art
on.
is my thing, like creating ceramics, woodworking, dancing. I noodle.
And that's a dance. That's what people call me half the time. And
White girl noodle.
they'll look at those, those wavy guys in car lots, and they'll send
Oh,
me like friends from home that
yeah.
like they'll be like, "Hey, that's you." And that's another thing
That's funny.
with me over time like owning myself as a dancer. That took actually like that was hard for me at first to call myself a dancer because I felt bad because I knew dancers who did palms or trained for years. And
Mhm, mhm.
specifically, like people that are close to me, like I know some people that have done that. And so it's, it's just been me redefining. And I think part of that story was hard for me to share at first. Like, oh, no, I don't have years and years, even though it looks like
Yeah.
it. And like, I don't. It was hard for me to share at first with people, but I also remember that it's very, very, it gives people permission to
Yeah.
know like you can be
You can start from
anything
anywhere. You can be anything.
because you know what
And
you are essentially.
yeah,
If
it's
you're
in
gonna,
you.
it's in you.
You gotta get it out.
Absolutely.
One of the things, and I know that we talked about this before the show, but to share with the viewers is, so my roommate did a static dance, and that was something that was new to me. I'd never really heard about it, and I'll be honest, I never got around to trying it. I was open. It just for some reason schedules. I don't know. I don't have a good
Yeah.
excuse.
Do we want to tell them what
Um,
ecstatic dance is?
yeah. So she would go. So every single week on Wednesday, she would go to the dance studio here in downtown Raleigh. It was at
Oh, wait,
Celestine.
no. I said, do we want to say what ecstatic dance is?
Oh yeah. I mean, ecstatic dance, like from my interpretation, it
Mhm.
was free form. I mean, she said that some people would come in and just roll around on the floor and act
Mhm.
like a bug, and some
Mhm.
people would, dance on top or top of somebody or roll over on somebody, or
Mhm.
some people would salsa dance. It just was whatever movement came into your body and came
Mm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you did.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me I guess, do you have like a different
No,
interpretation of
that's
it?
the same. I mean, it's just really moving through the energy of the
Yeah.
sound and moving through whatever. Like, that's something that is so, I mean, if you're new to ecstatic dance, like you're tapping into an interesting land, because it's like, yeah, people will be like doing just really weird things,
Right.
but it like dissolves that word weird. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I don't, we're just humans. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
And so,
Well,
yeah.
that what was cool about it. It was for her, it was this one space in the week where it was all about her wellness. It was all about her well-being. It was a meditative point, meditative time for her. It was a time for
Mhm.
her to go and just let loose in some capacity, have permission in a space of acceptance to let loose and move in whatever way. She's a classically trained tango dancer, and
Mm.
this was kind of another area of her dancing that allowed her to explore different movements in her body. And I think when it comes to self-expression and dance and movement, as we're talking here, this is wellness. This is a state of well-being. It is another opportunity for you to tap into your own self-consciousness and build confidence. And I think it's such an interest. We're in these, one of my friends called it a skin suit. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
a great way to call it. It's like
Mhm.
we've
It's
got these
true.
temporary skin suits, and we spend a lot of time in them, and we might as well explore, what it feels like to be human sometimes.
Absolutely. And, there are so many ways of expression. Like, not
Yeah.
everyone's going to want to dance to feel expressed. Like, I've been doing, I do a lot of photo shoots, and it's funny because both of my parents are artists. I grew up with them as artists. My dad, literally
Mm.
naked sculptor, like naked drawings, paintings. Like, he actually has an exhibit right now, Stations of the Cross. You'd probably be super interested in
Yeah,
it,
very
in
cool.
his interpretation. So anyway, I grew up with naked things, and I was always pretty jujudgmental towards it. But
I grew up
now,
with
I mean,
naked things.
yeah, all over my house
No
and art
judgment.
shows. And
Mhm.
um now it's like, how can I drain that well of expression for myself without, like, I love doing basically essentially all nude shoots. Like, I just think the body is so gorgeous. And there's so many, I mean, that's it. Like you said, we have these skin suits, but they're like these fun little things that we have. Like, what can we do with them? And
Mhm.
like, if in that category specifically, nudity, like, it's so thought of as sexual often. People think, oh, sex when they think of naked. But it's just, I mean, it's such an art. And so this is my thought, why
Yeah.
would I go through my life not tapping into this beautiful art that
Mhm.
I have and that I want to play with? And I mean, why would I do that?
I
I
think
know.
yeah. And I think these are some great questions, and I think even some social constructs that can still be let loose and let down, so that people can look at it in that form once again,
Mhm.
versus how society has kind of looked at it differently, because it is an art
Mhm.
and it should be celebrated.
Yeah, I mean, even stripping. Stripping is a gorgeous art. It's an art. I mean, there's things with it that aren't so arty, but it is a I mean, to most of those dancers, that's their thing. Like, they
Yeah.
are gorgeous doing it. I mean, it's an art.
I've seen pole dancing has become a workout. It's
Yeah,
like a workout class now.
absolutely. Yeah, and like the heels, so there's a type of dance called heels style, really, and you wear heels, high heels. That's more sensual move. It's almost like strip tease, and it is so fun. It's so fun,
So
and often a lot of women just don't give themselves,
try
men
anything
too,
once,
but
see what
it's like
happens.
you just don't know. And what does that version of you feel like? Oh
Right.
my gosh, like, there's so many other versions to you than
Yes.
this.
You can be anything you want to be. You might as well try out
Mhm.
a few things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I want to bring it back around.
Mhm.
Tell us more about embodied music videos. So this is a new venture that you've started out of
Mhm.
your dancing. And so
Mhm.
what is that offering?
So, embodied music videos is essentially music video styled visuals at this point now. So, where it began was someone just filmed me dancing one day, and I took the video and I edited it. I've always done the creative work like design, editing, and blah blah. But I edited this video one day, and it was like 2 a.m. by the time I was done, and I just put it into my TV, and I was like, what did I just make? And I just kept doing it. And over time, people responded in a way of, wow, this is really like
That's cool.
mesmerizing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like cool. And to me, the visuals, they're basically, so I said music video styled visuals. So they look like music videos, but they are visuals, almost like something that would be with a DJ.
Yeah.
In this case, they
Art
are
installation.
projected, yeah, art installation. In this case, they're projected on walls or in full rooms. So imagine being in an amazing club or a restaurant or a party, and you have this like music, whatever song you love playing, and you have this like really cool visual just on the full wall, and that
Mm,
feeling of presence it brings you back to. So oftentimes these are projected on like even outside or on bricks or something, so you don't have to see the full picture, but you see like a hand or a finger. And
yeah.
anyone who wants to go see what I'm talking about, it's on Instagram. It'll probably be linked here. It's embodied
Yep.
music videos. But the cool thing about those visuals is they go to any song. They go to any song and they invoke different emotion with each
That's a
song.
good
So
point. Yeah.
you're truly in the state of presence, and it's just like a full embodiment. And it also gives you the opportunity to feel more free. Like you watch
Mhm.
these and you're like, oh my gosh, this makes me want to like move or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, right now, I've been working with places in Raleigh, and those have been projected some places. I'm bringing them to some more in Raleigh, and I'm really excited about that.
Love
Talking
it.
to some places in Miami. I'll be like tapping into
I could see.
Chicago.
Raleigh's
Absolutely. Like,
kind of trying to be Miami, at least like Glenwood Avenue is, but I think
yeah.
might be a
There,
few years away
yeah, there's some places
from the
there. I
club
mean,
standpoint.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something that over time, my vision for this, and I truly believe it will and can happen, is that where these are just, I have a tech guy who handles all that. Like they're just projected or on
Yeah,
TVs all over the world, really, 10,000 on a Saturday night.
I love
And
it.
so, yeah, that's what those are, and it's been really fun. With that too, a lot of women have asked me, "Can I have a video of myself?"
Mm,
So I made this offering that is custom music video experience. So with that, it's done virtually or in person, but basically you pick the song you want, you pick the energy you want in the video. But it's more so like a kind of a sensual self-connecting experience. So I direct you, I make you look like a bombshell, which you already are. And then I give you this music video of yourself, and you're like, whoa, that's amazing.
that's
And
cool.
so can do it for yourself or as a gift for someone, but it's been a fun experience.
That's fun. Yeah, because it kind of
Mhm.
reminded me of like the boudoir shoots that are really
Yeah.
popular. And I had done one prior to getting married, and it was just like a fun experience, like something extremely vulnerable, different,
Mhm,
not
mhm.
something you'd done before, but it was a to see that and kind of see yourself in that light and celebrate you for you and the art of you. I think was very exciting. So I kind of, as you were talking about the offering, that's what I related it to. And what I think is also unique is you're combining several different modalities, several
Mm,
different mediums.
mhm.
And I think there's something magical to that when you can see yourself in that space and you can create art out of it. So I
Absolutely.
definitely encourage more people to do that and explore it. And I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So excited to see where you go with that. I know that I will definitely have the Instagram linked, but are there other areas that people can find you that I can send? How do they get in touch with Caren?
Well, my personal Instagram, Caren DeSaris, which is a
Okay.
handful of a name, but you'll see it in the title. So it's just Caren DeSaris. That's my personal one. I'd encourage connecting with me on there. Tell me where you want me to dance.
Yes. Hey, that should
um,
be like a fun Instagram movement, is like where to next? Like where do we want to send you next?
Absolutely. Where should I go next, Angel? Where should I go?
I think you should go to the NC Art Museum underneath the rings.
That's very specific. Under the rings. Okay. And that's by request. So I'll have to
By
tag in the
request.
caption by
Yeah.
request. I love that. Okay.
I love it.
Under
So
the rings.
good.
Perfect. But yeah, so that's my personal, and then linked in there is Embodied music videos. So that's the music video page. I also have a
Perfect.
TikTok now. You can find me, Caren DeSaris. But yeah, just if you want to get in touch, I would recommend either getting in touch with me on Instagram or just going to my website. Same thing, CarenDeSaris.com.
All right. Well, I so appreciate you taking the time to share your story with us, and so many great stories of how to be more self-expressive with these human bodies that we have and exploring who we are in this journey. So thank you for joining us. I'll definitely have a lot of those links included. And, I'd love to hear from folks, like if there are ways that you found art and self-expression and found it to make a change in your life or inspire you in new ways. Like, let's hear it. I would love to hear some of your stories too. So thank you again, Caren, and look forward to seeing you dancing under the rings of the art museum.
Perfect.
Take care.
Bye.